Alrighty, welcome back. Today, kind of continuing on green stuffing, I'm going to be doing all this kind of crap. So all this muscly, fleshy type stuff, making it look like the guns are part of the horses. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So we've got our little dude down here, and we've got our little green stuff ball. So we're going to mix that up, and then we're going to just kind of mash it around with some of our tools to make it look like it's, all part of the, make the horses look like they're got guns growing out of them. It's not too difficult to do. Really, a lot of the tricks that I've realized in doing this project with green stuff is really just about making textures and patterns and things like that. So when you start, it might not look cool, but as you keep working at it, it really starts to come together. So for example, on this guy here, right, all that little shut in his arms, nothing too crazy. But you just do it over and over and over and over and over and over, and it looks cool in the end. So if you're doing stuff on a large scale, that's kind of how you want to go about it. So look at that. It was blue and yellow, and now it's green. Ta-da! One thing I've also realized with green stuff is however much you think you're going to need, cut it in half, and then that amount, cut that in half. When you're figuring out how much you really need to mix up, I always make way too much. So I always scale down what I need, and you can always make a little more, but I hate wasting stuff, so I feel terrible if I leave a little piece left over that has to get basically thrown out. So I'm going to leave that there. So now we're going to get to see some of these other tools in action. So here's our horsey. And we're just going to, nothing too crazy, we're just going to roll it out into a little bit of a shape just to kind of cover up the space we want. So on this one, I'm just going to have it kind of hanging over it like so. Right, nothing fancy, right? It's just a blob stuck on there. So this is where we get to see this tool in action, right? Lick the crap out of it. Tasty. And this is just going to push it all out. And this is pretty much the technique I use if I'm doing like a hammered metal effect. Right, so this guy's shoulders and Typhus's armor, for example, just to kind of look like a hammered metal. That's the technique that I go with here. So and we're just pushing it into place. Something else to think about with green stuff, whenever you're working on something, whatever you put on the model is how much is going to be there. And that's kind of obvious, right? How much you put there is how much is there. Anytime you push on something, it's going to push something else out of the way. So you always got to, whenever you're working with it, realize that whatever you're pushing on or you're tweaking is going to move something else a little bit. So now I've got this bad boy, and I'm just using the back of it. I could just as easily use this. In fact, yeah, why not? We're just going to, I want to use this. It's a little firmer, that bends a little bit, so we're just pushing it out. Nothing fancy. And I just got a text message. I'm sure that's going to come through, but you guys can get over it. It's my brother. Son of a bitch. What's he think he's doing? So we're just pushing this out, and rather than just having a straight line, I'm going to try and push it so some of it comes out, some of it goes in, make it look like it's really kind of reaching out and grabbing a hold of it. We're just going to keep pushing that out. Right. I think if you don't have a taste for Nurgle, working on Nurgle green stuff is a great way to learn, because no matter how it comes out, it still looks alright. It's a good way to kind of develop without, it's good practice. Because you can start there, and then as you get skill, and you start to work with it, because to be honest, I'm doing these little videos for you guys, and hopefully you get something out of it, and it helps your technique, but just like anything else, you got to do it, you know? You don't learn how to drive watching somebody drive, you learn how to drive by driving, right? So you're really just going to have to get some green stuff out and play with it and get used to the material and the medium, because like everything else, it's something you got to learn. So, if you look at, let's see, this is a good example. Oops, knocking shit over. All those little pock marks and legions and stuff like that. Oops, focus. Stuff's actually pretty easy to do. It looks fancy once you get all the lines and stuff like that in there, but really all I'm doing is just poking a few holes. You know, like my tool. That's what she said. That joke will probably never get old. So I'm just pushing that in. Right, and that's really all there is to it. Now if I want to give it a little extra effect, I can kind of push in on the sides and try and hook it up a little bit. I'm just going to do that a little bit and just put a couple of them in. This is also a great way if you have a little spot you don't like how it came out, to hide, you know, mistakes. Like maybe I didn't like how these little ridges came out here for whatever reason. I could just go whoop. And I want this to blend a little better, so I'm just going to pull that out a little bit there. If your tool isn't, if it's kind of sticking to the green stuff, it pulls it weird and kind of can make it really not behave the way you want and leave some terrible stuff. So make sure you're keeping your tool lubricated. That's what she said. Sorry. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is one of these little things. So I'll show you kind of how I do this. So what I'm going to do is, now this is kind of what I was talking about. Anything you push on, that material has to go somewhere. It's just because you push it down doesn't mean it's going to stay just down there. Something else has to come up. Right? So if you look how high that is, as I start pushing on it, it's going to raise up. Well, that doesn't work, does it? Okay, we're back in business. I'm not used to working with a camera right in my way. The old trusty iPhone. How awesome are iPhones, guys? If you're not using an iPhone, well, you're using something else. Okay. Now, if I take this guy, right, this is for making things nice and smooth. So we're just smoothing this little ball out here. So we have something that looks sort of like that. Now the other thing I can do, again, anything I push gets pushed up. So if I start pushing up around the edge, start making that little ring around it. So I'll try and keep this centered. To make it really look like it's kind of busting through. And take this guy and then start pushing it back down. Get it nice and lick on it, nice, smooth it out here. Right, so that really gives it the effect like it's kind of busting out, right? And then sometimes it's nice to have it not too uniform again because it's Nurgle, so we'll have a little piece kind of jutting out here. And then we just push it back a little. Okay. Now I bet you'll never guess how you get all those little holes in it. Really difficult stuff here. This is where it gets challenging. Ready? Oh. Ta-da! So there we have some Nurgle crap. And look, that gun's now attached. So all we need to do is the same thing on the other side. So we put in some good detail on this side, so we can do this side real fast now that we know what we're doing. So I'm just going to mash that little piece on there. Right, just to show you how fast some of this can go once you realize the technique and what you want to do. Right, let's push more or less into place. Again, it's Nurgle, so who cares how it looks. Push that down in there. Oh, Nurgle, you so crazy. See, that really makes it look like it's grabbing out when you don't have just one even edge, you know, like some of it's pushing out, some of it's pushing in. Alright, and look, I didn't even really finish it. I just kind of rushed through it. Now we can put maybe a big old pockmark here. Put another little one here. I don't like how this little edge came out here, so we'll put a nice long one in here. Fill it out with another little one down here. And then a little bit of texture right in the middle there. Look at that, it was just over a minute to do that. Alright, so we did that, and we did that, and we're done. Alright guys, thanks for watching.